Greetings. I'm Drew. You're you, that's not what I say. Greetings. My name is Drew. You are you, and this is my room. Not my bedroom, but my favorite room in my house, which has all of my nerd things in it. And I thought that I would show it to you and all of the random things in it that bring me joy. So, yeah, take a tour with me. Well, first there's this blue chair. That's nothing special. But above it is Mr. Al Swearingen. This character is from Deadwood. He was painted by my friend Kevin Geyer, who also painted Tony Soprano here. So here we have two HBO villains, or I don't know, characters that are horrible, horrible human beings, but yet fan favorites. Which brings me to this gentleman, Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones. Also another HBO terrible human being, but kind of, we kind of like him nonetheless. So HBO has a way of doing this, and it's the same artist that painted all three of them, and I love each painting. So I have all three now. They make me happy. Below Khal Drogo, I have physical media, which in this day and age is kind of shocking, but here we are nonetheless. I have gotten sick of trying to find things on Netflix and whatnot, so I've brought out some of my old Blu-rays, and I've started purchasing 4K movies as well, the Ultra HD movies. So I've got a few of those. These aren't all of them. I still have a bunch in the attic, but these are the ones that I feel like I would want to watch, and Netflix or wherever may not have them. I also have kind of an overflow of PS4 games down there, and then some of my box sets as well. Random video game accessories here. Well, some of them are actually kind of interesting. This one is pretty cool. This one is it's an original Super Nintendo controller from the 90s, but it's been modified to have it's Bluetooth compatible. So it's a wireless Bluetooth controller now, and it when it functions and it can actually pair with something, it's a little quirky. It can just be a wireless controller, and I can put it back the way it was later if I want to. I still have the original board and everything like that, but it's such a comfortable, familiar feel. So when it works, I love to play with that. That's a case for my PlayStation Portal, which I got for Christmas right here, and I'm loving it. I can use this to play that anywhere in the house or any other place with Wi-Fi. I turn that on, and that turns that on and runs whatever disc is in here, as well as whatever cloud gaming I have access to. In this case, I pay for the PlayStation Plus Premium, so I get access to all of their library and all that good stuff. Two PS5 controllers, two PS4 controllers, and this amazing book. Oh, I love this one so much. Let's see. Can we look at this? Let's take a look at this. This is just a book of pixel art. Really cool looking pixel art from lots of different video games. It talks about kind of the history of certain pieces of art, certain animation styles where they're like made of, two pieces or one piece, so they can be animated differently. Just a celebration of some of my favorite pieces of art from gaming history. And oh my God, the monkey ape, technically, which you'll find him up here. And these are my cartridge frames for Super Nintendo games. I made each of these. I printed out some sprite sheets is what they're called, on some paper, cut those out, bought some foam board, cut that out, glued it with a glue stick, and then wanted to display some of my Super Nintendo cartridges in this way. It took a lot of time, and I kind of don't like them as much as I used to, so I've thought about taking them down, but I kind of think that I won't ever do that because I spent too much time on them. Anyway, Sunset Riders, great game. Super Mario World, classic. Donkey Kong Country, best music ever. Chrono Trigger, maybe the best music ever. Castlevania 4, Super Castlevania 4. Super Mario RPG, my very first RPG. Final Fantasy 3 or 6, depending on what you want. And then Mega Man X, some of the best music ever, and arguably the best first level of any video games. Starting up top here, we've got Slimer. This popcorn bucket I got when we watched Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and he has a bumpy butt, which is just marvelous. Look at that thing. Beautiful. All right, Slimer's chilling up there. And then these are my 1984 VHS cassettes. These are all old original VHS cassettes, and every single one of them released in 1984. That's right. Such hits as Footloose, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Beverly Hills Cop, The First Terminator, 16 Candles, Karate Kid, Gremlins, Nightmare on Elm Street, Amadeus won Best Picture, Splash, Ghostbusters, Conan the Destroyer, Red Dawn, Romancing the Stone. I believe, since I was born in 84, my mom tells me this is the first movie I ever actually went to in the theater. Obviously, I was an infant and don't remember it, but let's just keep in mind here. Police Academy spawned a franchise. Beverly Hills Cop spawned a franchise. Terminator spawned a franchise. Never Ending Story spawned a franchise. 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 This is a big deal, y'all. 1980 freaking 4. All right. Got some not Super Nintendo, N64 games, and Sega. These two systems I do not collect a whole lot of, as you can see. I've got more in the attic, but these are my favorites. So not a huge collector of these two. Usually it's Super Nintendo and Nintendo, which there's more over there, but yeah, I don't know. I'll pick them up when I see them. And PS5 games, these are the games that I get the most use out of. Like I said, I have some kind of hiding back there that I don't really play as much, but I rotate through these pretty frequently, and the Switch games as well. During COVID, I did this. I decided that I needed all of the Game Boys ever made. There are some that I don't have, but these are all the main Game Boys before they stopped calling them Game Boy. The original DMG, Game Boy Pocket, which is my favorite, Game Boy Color and Atomic Purple, of course. This one, the Game Boy Advance, which is in a new shell, the Game Boy SP, and the Game Boy Micro. This is the last one that they ever made that was called a Game Boy. Then they started calling them, DS and other things, but it's very tiny. Very tiny. This one was also the most expensive one I had to buy. Yes. And I've got these cool little acrylic shelves for them, and they all have the actual, oh man, that's so dusty. They all have the actual name of the system there as well. So that's neat. And again, controllers. PlayStation 5, nothing too crazy about that. PlayStation 4, old trusty, still works, but doesn't get any use. Xbox 360, so that one is modified. I had a guy in Arkansas, I think, or somewhere, modify it so it can actually play something like 60 different Xbox 360 titles. So these days you can get a lot of these on digital console like PlayStation, but sometimes it's just easier to throw that thing on. This is my Raspberry Pi 4. This holds most of my old retro games. I can play these if I wanted to, but it's easier playing them on this, obviously. And then a Wii, which is also modified. This one runs games off of flash drives. So you just plug this in here. This one's got 20 some games on it, and then I've got two more that have another couple dozen games. So yeah, that's handy. And then of course the old systems here. These are not currently plugged up. They can be plugged up, except for that one. That one is missing a power cord or a video cord, something. It's missing a cord. But I have everything else for all of these, and I also have another version of the regular Nintendo, the top loader, but that's up in the attic as well. I can't put them all out, because you put too many of these things out, they just look bad. I try to make it look somewhat decent. I've got a Quest 2, Oculus Quest 2, now called the Meta Quest. Actually, they've got a 3 now, so this is old news. Switch controller. Switch dock, cradle. This controls the remotes to my light up movie posters. Boop. So they're off. And then, boop, they're on. Beautiful, backlit. And they're not too, they're actually very slim too. So despite the fact that they're backlit, they don't actually project too far from the wall, which I really love. And you can go to 50% with them too. If you have the lights down, sometimes it's better to do that, but yeah. If you bump them up to 100, they look good, and they don't do that flicker thing when you're recording either. So, Super Nintendo games. So these are my favorites that are not in the cartridge frames that I made earlier. And yeah, again, I got these from the same place that I got the other acrylic stands for, just to display a few. And again, I have so many of these in the attic, but when they're just piled and stacked, they look terrible. So I had to choose and pick some of my favorites. Some of them, they just have the coolest box art. Demon's Crest is one of my favorites. That one was a grail, and my brother finally got it for me. It is not a cheap game to find. But yeah, and then right above them, I have some Nintendo games. I had to put Zelda up front, despite the fact that I'm not a huge Zelda fan. The cartridge is just too gorgeous. So again, I have a lot of really favorite box arts here. And that one, the Manhattan Project, was not one of my favorites. I didn't play it until later, but it's just an actual cartridge I got recently from a friend, so I put it up there because I'm currently kind of in love with it. And then finally, Dreamcast and the Genesis. I was not a huge Sega kid, so I never had either of these systems. The Dreamcast is another one that I could not play right now because that one's missing a power cord, and I do have multiple versions of the Genesis up in the attic. And then a little bit up there, you've got the Super Scope for the Super Nintendo. And that one also I couldn't work because I got that thing off eBay and I did not get it with the sensor that plugs into the Super Nintendo. So I couldn't play that if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I just want it to sit there up there and look cool. And then above the TV, I have this print. It is not an original, unfortunately, but it is a lovely, lovely print of a painting featuring the High Wind from Final Fantasy VII. And I love it. It makes me happy. And that is the kit and the caboodle as far as the entertainment center goes. Actually, no, I guess there's some crap down here. What we got down here? This is mostly storage, controllers, little accessories for video games, keyboard, platform for Disney Infinity. Speaking of Disney Infinity, my son is a huge Disney Infinity fan. It's a game that was canceled probably closer to the time he was born. But this is his collection here. I wired in a little light here. It doesn't really do a whole lot because it's only got 2 batteries instead of the 3, but I don't know. Provides you a little bit extra light. But there they are. Each of these little dudes can sit on a platform in the game, and when you put them on the platform, they are now playable in the game. There's characters from Marvel, Star Wars, obviously classic Disney characters, and everything in between, which is probably why they couldn't keep it up, because it probably just got too costly to maintain. But the actual models look fantastic. They really, really do. They're very good looking models, and just the style of them I really like. So when he got into them, I kind of got into them too. Can't lie. But there they are. I printed some of these. I don't know if you can see. These are on risers right there so that they're not all just on the same level and hard to reach. But I 3D printed about 6 different risers to keep them elevated a little bit so you can see all the way back there. And that's that. And my Pizza Hut lamp, which I'm quite in love with. It is a table lamp, whereas most of the Pizza Hut original lamps were, they hung from a chain. But this one, it is real stained glass. A little dusty, sorry. But it's beautiful. I love it. It really creates a delightful vibe. And right now I have Bumblebee in my frame and Onward in my frame. I need to do better about storing these things. Right now I just have them in some tubes, all the extra ones. But I swap them out every now and then, whenever I feel like it. And then the Love Sack. This massive thing is Love Sack's, the big one is what they call it. It can fit, allegedly, up to 4 people. It can do 3 comfortably. But yeah, that is pretty much it, everyone. Yeah, it's very cozy for gaming. The only downside is that it makes you fall asleep really quickly. And then I just have the little, they call that the, I forgot what they call that, ottoman, squattoman. They call it a squattoman, where I just have my remotes, little snackies, and my coasters. These are PlayStation coasters. This one's Xenogears, and then I have Metal Gear, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and Tomba. So, yeah, nerdy coasters as well. So that is my room. That is my little nerd haven. And yeah, that's about it. This is me. This is my room. Maybe you found that interesting. I don't know. I do. I love it here. This is my favorite place to be in the house, and it brings me a lot of joy. And yeah, I'm happy to have it, happy to share it, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Keep being you.